Senator Excellency Elijah Adams Oshimole.
Mr. President, sir, thank you very much. I wasn't just going to talk today, I wanted to just listen. But listening to all the contributors, I think there's one thing that most of us are guilty of. If some things are not going well, we proceed to generalize in a very sweepy manner. 2, 3, 4 Nigerians will commit crime, I will say Nigerians are like that. Mr. President, with your permission, I think it is worth nothing on record that all the airlines are not guilty of this offense. For example, I am very proud of Air. They keep to time, they board on time, and they depart on time. So, if you have, I will list the one that I know. I'm not going to speculate. I have limited time, now you are diverting my attention. So, when we commend airline like Air, then it strengthens our position to condemn those who have no respect and regard for passengers. So I want it on record that the Senate notes with satisfaction that this is not a general disease. Air has shown that a state-owned airline can do better. And if you receive value jobs, this is where you have shares there. I added this one just to stop the heckling and where time is off because let me just conclude. I think that in meeting with these airliners, what I've heard is that this idea we must raise revenue. For every 100 naira you pay, almost a the Senate does not have time. The entire Senate has only 3 minutes to adjourn. I bow, sir. Thank you very much. Thank you for the privilege.
Thank you very much. Now,
I don't want to allow this argument to derail my contribution. Otherwise, he's a one-time senator, and you should know that. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, quite frankly, I wanted to second this motion to underscore the seriousness with which I see this motion brought by the only Buhari in the Senate. Mr. President, let me share this single experience. That on a particular day I was at the airport traveling to Akure, and I saw some of my colleagues and other travelers who had come to the airport the previous day by 2 o'clock, and by 3 o'clock they had not gotten a flight. And they were there. They confessed to sleeping at the airport. Nigerian airports are the only airports in the whole wide world where their flights are delayed without any explanation, without any apology. Their flights are cancelled without any apologies, without any announcement. And so I think that it is high time we take very stern stance on some of these issues, because it throws up the problem of our regulatory agencies. Mr. President, you will recall that even in the 9th Senate, I brought a motion on the arbitrary billings by DSTV on Nigerians. I also brought a bill on the arbitrary deductions on accounts of customers by commercial banks. All these institutions have regulatory agencies, but they do not do anything. They do not do anything. And so the motion by my colleague here actually has thrown up the fierce urgency of the need for the Senate to take a very serious position on this matter. Because apart from the transactional effect of these delays, a businessman, for instance, who had a business meeting in Lagos, will come to Abuja here, I will not be able to find flight to go back to Abuja, to Lagos. You know what that loss can be. Even in government activities, a government officials that wants to travel to Lagos to represent this government at any level of business or program will get delayed in this place until that event is overtaken. Even health, if you have reason to travel out of one place to the other and you get unnecessarily delayed and your flight cancelled, God forbid, it is possible to lead to death as a result of that negligence. So I think, Mr. President, that in supporting this motion, I want to say that at least for this matter and other related matters, our compliance committee must ensure that whatever resolutions that we arrive at here is complied with by these agencies. Because these organizations or service providers are taking Nigerians and Nigeria for a ride. And they're making Nigeria a laughing stock. Because it's not only Nigerians who are resilient that are applying these rules. Foreigners are here. They experience the same thing. And it makes Nigeria look like a different country from other countries of the world. And so, Mr. President, I completely support this motion, and I urge my colleagues to support the motion and ensure that whatever resolutions the Senate arrives at here are complied with. Thank you very much, Mr. President.
My name is Senator Victor Ume. I represent Anambra Central Senatorial District. Mr. President, this motion is a very good motion. We all have experienced delays and cancellation of flights in Nigeria. And it's not a comfortable situation in any country where these things happen. But Mr. President, I want to situate the conditions and the operating environment for our airline operators in Nigeria. I have had cause to discuss with some of the operators why these incessant delays and all that. And they raised a lot of issues, some of them bordering on the cost of their operations. The cost of their operations, because of the fluctuation in the dollar and the things they need to run their services, is very, very patriotic for some of these airlines to still remain in operation in Nigeria. So we have to acknowledge that the situation has been very difficult for them, and they have continued to put their aircrafts on the air to move people around the country. I have listened to the Honorable Minister for Aviation. He is somebody who is on top of this situation. He has been encouraging these airlines, negotiating a lot of things for them, and giving them actually pass mark that are doing well. In as much as it's very discomforting for flights to be delayed and sometimes cancelled, we have to take into account the challenges these airlines face in Nigeria to remain in the skies, to carry people around. So this prayer is very good for them to interface with the Honorable Minister of Aviation, who understands their predicaments. Significantly,
we have 2 seconds.
2 seconds. Significantly, most of the airlines have improved. There was a time it was very bad. But today, if you are not on time at the airport, you will miss your flight. So it's going on. There's no point mentioning the airlines.
Thank you.
But I do have your best. And let's acknowledge that we are making much sacrifice to be able to operate as airlines in this country. Under the
We yield the floor to Senator PG, then to Senator Abbas, then to Senator.
To contribute and support the motion as presented to us by the Chairman Senate Committee on Aviation. It's true that we know that there are problems with most of the airlines, but I wish to object to the submission of the minority leader that it's only in Nigeria that they delay flights. It's not only in Nigeria. There could be combination of factors for airlines to delay their flight, and that doesn't happen only in Nigeria. Only that I want to emphasize the point raised by Senator Aminu. The law is very much one-sided. If for whatever reason they delay your flight or they cancel your flight, you have no penalty to pay. But if for whatever reason you are late by a minute or you have to reopen your ticket, you pay multiple times to make use of that ticket. Finally, Mr. President, I think as submitted by His Excellency, this issue being discussed here should have been handled by the committee themselves. The Nigeria Civil Aviation Authority is there to regulate the airlines. The Senate Committee on Aviation have oversight rights on that agency. And most Nigerians will appreciate it if the Senate cannot mandate the committee as requested, but instead of inviting people to this chamber to work on the regulatory body and make sure that customers get their due for their payment. Thank you very much.
Senator,
Central Senatorial District. Your Excellency, I support this motion ably moved by my chairman, Senator Buhari Abdul Fatai. This motion speaks to the ethical standards of the airlines, because we are talking about the attitude of the airlines to customers. On the flip side, there is need also to look at the challenges like some of the senators have said. And looking at the prayer and the number of agencies invited to meet with the committee, I think this will provide a solid platform to engage with the agencies as to what the challenges of the airlines are, and also use the opportunity to insist that customers must be properly treated, because customers' rights and protection must be enforced. So this avenue will definitely provide an opportunity to engage with them and know actually what the problems are. So we are talking about striking a balance between the services of the airlines and also the challenges they face vis-a-vis how the customers are treated. Thank you, Your Excellency, for the opportunity given.
thank you, Senator
Motion, and also contribute my own, in addition to what other senators contributed, Mr. President. Now, I want to disagree with the last speaker on this, because it is only in Nigeria, Mr. President, that you miss your flight, you pay no show. You open your ticket, you pay money for not coming. But you be at the airport, they'll cancel their flight. Nobody will pay you for anything. So Nigeria has been extorted, penalized for doing nothing. Last 2 weeks, I was traveling to Lagos. I was in this chamber, they sent me a text that the flight was shifted from 4 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So I went home. By 7 o'clock, they sent me a message that my flight, not the airline now. Somebody at the airport said they have cancelled that flight and they will not announce it. So if you want to go, you come and go with 8 o'clock flight. So I have to leave my house, rush. I went to the airport. I now presented my ticket for 10 o'clock. They said they'll only use that ticket and they have to change it from business to economy. So I have to fly economy if I want to go. Meanwhile, there are empty seats on business. So they penalized me for doing nothing. I paid for business, but I have to fly economy. And they didn't announce cancellation of that flight. And I know about 2-3 senators missed their flight because they went, no announcement. And if they don't use that ticket, they have to pay money again. So Nigerians are suffering for that. And I think the first thing we'll do is to ensure that there's penalty for cancelling flight, because you pay money if you didn't show. So why would they cancel flight unnecessarily without paying anybody? The first thing we recommend is we have to add it that airlines must pay Nigerians. If not, there will be no seriousness on their part. I so submit.
Senator Austin,
representative for River Southeast Senatorial District. Mr. President, I want to thank the mover of this motion, but on two hands. One is going to argue and the other one is to also support. In as much as we support the mover of this motion, Mr. President, the passengers' rights and safety is something that is of considerable nature. We also have to look at the economic importance of why if flights are being cancelled. The other one that we have to also think about is the regulatory a system which sometimes affects what is happening. And the infrastructures. Now, on the other side, Mr. President, the issue of weather is natural. So most of these airlines, they try to play safety. Most of our flight cancellations and delayed are due to weather. What happens again in terms of our infrastructures? Most of the airports don't have necessary infrastructures. Is it the airline, is it on Nigeria alone? So we have to look at the global practice. What happened in this area? For instance, in America of recent, they've agreed, despite the weather, there must be reasonable time given to passengers about cancellations. So if we look at all those ones, Mr. President, I think we can harness with the committee and try to do a reasonable work, both for the airline and for the passengers. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you very much, Senator Abbas.
Thank you, Mr. President. My name is Osita Azuna, so I represent Imo West. Well, I just want to contribute to this motion, not necessarily because I'm in total support of the motion. The reason is that no airline operator will delay flight or cancel flight without sufficient reasons. There are so many reasons why flights are delayed and cancelled. It could be weather situation. It could be other operational delays and factors. So, because we are worried about time, let me reserve my comment until I come to the prayers, because I want to amend the prayer. So I reserve my comment.
Your government cancelled the license. It's only Nigeria that I can see government looking for business, cancelling licenses for businesses. Is it not abomination? It is something you cannot hear for. If you are looking to employ Nigerians and government are busy cancelling licenses of banks, cancelling licenses of private banks, cancelling licenses of private airlines, it's not hard for anywhere in the world. It's only Nigeria that these things happen. So, Mr. President, I'm even afraid of doing any business I have to do with licensing, because it's not the right thing to do.
Well, you see, the government of the day is investment friendly. So please bring back Sloke Airline. Bring back, and I'm sure the president is hearing you, he's seeing this debate.
Okay, I'm going to bring back Sloke.
Bring it back.
I'm going to bring back Sloke. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Senator Victor.
My colleagues, the motion, for the airlines, because you see, most of the airlines are keeping passengers without caring about their welfare. An international agreement about airlines, if you keep any passenger, delayed any passenger, it's either you feed him or you find alternative way of transporting him. Because Nigerian airlines are not even caring to say if they will put the passengers in another airplane leaving at that moment. They don't care about this thing. So this motion that brought by Senator Buhari of the Senate is very germane, and it's a right time that the airline should start taking their passengers very serious, because international passengers who are transferring to other cities are just looking at Nigeria as jokers. Because when a passenger lands, for example, in Abuja and is going to transfer to Kano or Abia or Ekiti or Ondo, they delay him for almost 9 hours and without any information. So, Mr. President, I think it's not a way situation in marketing our country. The airlines should be more serious in doing the business. Look at what Senator Abamoru just said. People waiting for airplane in the morning to the next day, and they were still in the airport. And these airlines never ask these people whether they will eat, whether they will use sleep, and all the rest of them. So it behoves even you, Fatai Buhari, as chairman of aviation, you don't even need the leave of Senate to do this thing you are bringing here. It's too late. You could have dealt with this matter before coming back to the Senate, because you are a chairman of the Senate Committee on Aviation. You don't need to bring this motion here. This is an issue you practically could have dealt with before coming to Mr. President or coming to the Senate, because these matters are serious and we are taking them lightly.
Thank you for your observation, but it's painful. Let me tell you one thing.
No, 1 more minute. Let me round up. Yes, I'll round up. You take over your.
I want to interject.
The microphone is yours. No, 1 minute you take over your microphone. Okay, Mr. President, I bow to you. Thank you very much.
What I'm trying to say is that you're in 1990. No, he's protected. The Marine is protected. Okay. We have been given the chance, but allow him.
Thank you, Mr. President, distinguished senators. My name is Mohamed Tahir Monguno. I represent Borno North Senatorial District. This motion is apt and germane, especially having regard to what is happening in our aviation industry, because delayed flights and cancellation of flights have become a recurring decimal in the aviation industry, for which, as a responsive parliament to the yearnings and aspirations of our people, we must put heads together and invoke the necessary legislations and pass the necessary resolutions with a view to nipping in the bud this ugly scenario of flight cancellations and delayed flights. The motion has already captured the consequences of those. People, it has a lot of untold hardship, brought untold hardship to travelers who have an appointment, most of them business appointments that are time bound. As a result of that cancellation or delay, they will miss out in their business appointment, thereby bringing untold economic hardship to their businesses and what have you. And then, Mr. President, distinguished senators, apart from that, the insistent delays and flight cancellations, there is no remedy. They don't give any remedy. They don't bring any succor to the people that are affected, as enshrined in the necessary international treaties and conventions regulating such acts. You are supposed to be taken to a hotel. You are supposed to be provided with a meal. All those things are thrown and are not obeyed. They are rather obeyed in breach, but not in observance. So this motion is apt and germane, and as a responsive parliament to the yearnings and aspirations of our people, we must act and nip in the bud this ugly scenario in the aviation industry. Thank you.
Minority leader, I was just referring to which office higher between minority leader and chief. I'm not talking about ranking. So you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. President. Buhari Abdul Fattah, Ayono. Mr. President, the motion is incessant delayed and cancelled fly-by airline operation in Nigeria. Mr. President, the select note from series of reportage from both the print and electronic media as well as the social media in the country, the incessant delay and cancellation of flight by airline operator in Nigeria, which ceaselessly seem to be increased in recent time. Mr. President, also note that this development is worrisome, as air travel is one of the most reliable, dependable, and quicker means of transportation, often undertaken for business official purpose, and to keep to the scheduled appointment, which are usually time-bound. Therefore, unwarranted flight delay and cancellation will be counterproductive to the socio-economic growth and development of this country. The Senate further notes that as part of interventions measure to check unethical and unwholesome practice of the practitioner in the aviation sector, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority is statutorily empowered through the enactment of Nigerian Civil Aviation Act to, among other things, provide oversight and guidelines aimed at ensuring the airlines operate within the contemplation of international standard in Nigeria, and to ensure that airline customers get value for the services they paid the airline for. The Senate observed that the cost for economic diversification and foreign direct investment, which are part of the current administration policy, trust will remain an illusion if the country aviation industry falls short of acceptable best practices across the globe. Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, aware that Part 19 of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority Regulation of 2023 makes provision for consumer protection in the civil aviation industry in Nigeria. However, enforcement has been an issue, as most Nigerians are not even aware that they are entitled to compensation for time lost due to unnecessary delay and outright cancellation. Hence, the need for the NCAA to activate this aspect and make it public and its regulation so that airline operators will sit up and be alive to their responsibility to their customers. Accordingly resolved, mandate the Senate Committee on Aviation to invite the Minister of Aviation and Aerosport, the Director General of NCAA, airline operators, and other relevant stakeholders to, among other things, unravel the circumstances behind incessant flight delay and cancellation with a view to finding lasting solution to the problem. I so move, Mr. President.
We wouldn't have gotten into this situation if it allows local airline to remain. You used to have local airline, but it is not with you. Yes. If you allow local
How can you say this when I brought?
No, we only have the agency, and when you tell the agency that how far, what you are saying, we have informed them. With this mandate, we can now invite all the airlines and ask them if it's weather, if it's this thing, there's no problem. We need the Senate approval to do that.
Thank you. Now I read our rules to do what it needs to do in terms of oversight. So this prayer is not necessary. Chairman of the committee and the mover, do you agree with me?
Yes. No.
Mr. President, the reason why we needed a prayer is that we cannot call the to invite. You have the mandate to invite everybody in this country. You have the mandate to support everybody in this country, even everybody. Mandate the Senate Committee on Aviation to invite the Honorable Minister of Aviation and Aerospace, the Director General of the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, airline operators, and other relevant stakeholders, so among other things, unravel the circumstances behind the incessant flight delays and cancellations with a view to finding lasting solution to the problem. Please, for this prayer, please say aye.
Amendment.
Those against say nay.
Amendment.
The ayes have it.
Amendment.
Can you move? We don't have time.
Amendment.
Senate Leader, move for adjournment because we just have 10 seconds to go.
No, amendment to the prayer, Mr. President.
Then we need to extend time.
But amendment to the prayer should be allowed, Mr. President. So, no, my amendment is that it is not only the Senate Committee on Aviation, because FCCPC, Federal Competition Consumer Protection Commission, has the responsibility. So my amendment is that FCCPC, my amendment is that the Senate Committee on Aviation and Industry should conduct a public hearing, not to invite.
Seconder. No seconder.
There's a seconder. Okay, second.